Well, good afternoon once again. It's Friday, 6:30 in the p.m., and I just got off an airplane coming from Washington, the District of Columbia, where we had a very interesting week, and we'll talk about it in a minute. As a matter of fact, all of us have been aware of some aviation mishaps, and we're still trying to figure out what happened, why it happened. But we're going to talk about the good part of making sure that something is happening. And I am pleased to have my dear friend, Victor Croswell, and associates of his here. And we always say that, Vic's a Tuskegee Airman. And, of course, some people are remembering when the Airmen started. And they're always wondering whether or not Vic is old enough to have been in that first group. And I said they've had groups coming along since then. And no, he wasn't in the first group. But the airmen made such an impact on aviation in our country and provided not only the opportunities, but the skill and expertise that made them well known to this day. So Vic, welcome to our opportunity to try and report. And so why don't you tell our group, our audience, a little bit about yourself. Who's Victor Croswell?
Okay, well, Victor Croswell is one of the recipients who's standing on the shoulders of the original Tuskegee Airmen. When I first came to Chicago a few years back, I was the only person bought in the Chicago chapter who wasn't an original Tuskegee Airman. So I was about the second guy to come in, and I met one of the original guys when I was flying mission up to Alaska, and he kind of asked me where did I come from, and at that time I had just done 6 years at Norton Air Force Base in California, and I transferred back here due to my sister's death to help, take care of her daughter. But at that time, he said, hey, you know anything about the Tuskegee Airmen? And I happened to graduate from Chanute Air Force Base, which is in southern Illinois, which is where the actual 99th graduated from. And they graduated from here first, which is a historical fact. And then they were all shipped down to Tuskegee. So that made me, alma mater. And what actually happened was they told me that, hey, you guys are going to be running the organization 30 years from now. And here we are 30 years later, and we actually are running the organization. So I like to say that I've become a pilot. I have my drone certification. I'm the senior instructor over at the AIM, or the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, along with my director here, Mr. Andre. And it's been, a heck of a ride, and I'm proud to be standing on their shoulders.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Andre,
Yes, sir.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
For sure. Mr. Croswell, I'm equally as proud. My story is going to be a wee bit shorter, but I'm equally as proud. I started aviation in 2011 in the Navy. I served my 10 years with the Navy, working on 2 special helicopters, the H-53 Echo as well as the H-60 Romeo. Upon the completion of my naval service, I moved to Atlanta, where I enrolled in Aviation Institute of Maintenance, Duluth, and made up in my mind at that moment that I'd be coming back to the organization as an instructor, so I did. I graduated with my A&P license, made the move here to Chicago, where I became an instructor alongside some phenomenal talents. And I was fortunate enough to be blessed with the promotion as Director of Education, and I'm very proud of that moment. So, yeah.
All right, well, tell us about AIM. Tell us what it is and where it is.
I'll take it, my pleasure. So AIM is the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, a national organization with 17 campuses across the nation. We are fortunate enough to be at the Chicago campus, where I feel is the #1 campus. It's a very unique campus because of the faculty that we have there and their unique stories, as well as the students that we have in the Southside Chicago area. What we teach there is aviation maintenance. We teach how to maintain aircraft the proper way. A few things go into that. 17 blocks of full-out mechanical knowledge and experience. So the first 4 blocks, we have our general blocks. In those general blocks, we teach aircraft drawings, aircraft lines, basic electricity, and the rules of the sky, which is what I like to call the FARs. Then we move forward with the airframe blocks, where we teach anything from sheet metal to composites, non-metallics. Once our students complete their airframe blocks, they then progress to power plant blocks, where we learn about reciprocating engines as well as turbine engines. And overall, we have a good time. We are in the life-changing business, is what I like to say, simply because we offer opportunities to students that are in the Chicago area to make great decisions for their future and in a beautiful career that is aviation. And we have a good time doing it.
Well, my next door neighbor happens to be an airplane mechanic, retired. He's almost 90 years old. So he may have been one of those original guys.
Maybe so.
But his name is George Jones. We call George the mayor of our neighborhood because he's so engaged and involved and a part of everything that goes on. As a matter of fact, he's got the keys to my house. He knows my security alarm. I've had to call him up to let me in because the police thought I was breaking in. I had things going on. But this mechanical school provides an opportunity for individuals to learn aviation mechanics or airplane mechanics. How do you get into, who are the students? Who can come? How do you get in?
1 second.
All right, go ahead.
Anybody can come. They show an interest in our campus. A lot of our students these days are not even aware prior to seeing the building. The building's there. It's a newer building. I think the building was built in 2021.
It's a good-looking building.
It's a beautiful, beautiful campus. It really is. It really is. But anybody can come. We take anyone over 18 with a diploma or a GED. They enroll. They come to our admissions office. They either call or show up. The admissions representatives, as well as the director of admissions, they tour that student, that prospective student, ask particular questions on their interests. They move forward in the process. Once they have completed their business with the admissions department, they become a part of the education department, and they sit in our classes.
And I understand that British Airways has recently hired a number of your students and
Yes,
taken
sir.
them off to England.
Yes, sir. Well, that number is 6. We were fortunate enough to partner with British Airways. We have a signed executive order of a partnership as of late last year with British Airways. They did take 6 of our students. Those students are still in America. One of those students is now an ambassador to my competition team that we have every year with United and or American Airlines. He's come back from British Airways just to help make sure that the competitors are successful in the competition that's going to be taking place this year in Atlanta. So thankful to British Airways for what they've done with our students. For sure.
So person with the high school diploma or something that certifies that he or she have the potential and can pass all of the requirements, can be admitted, how long does it take them to get the training?
Certainly, to answer your question, yes, they can be admitted, and it's a 21-month course. Accelerated course. They learn a lot. Each block is what we go. We don't use a semester system like traditional colleges do. We go by the block system, which is 5 weeks a block. There are 17 blocks, including the final block of capstone. They go through those courses. At their final block, which is 17, they are preparing for the final exams, which are the oral and practical exams. Once they complete their capstone block, they then are fully rated licensed airframe and power plant mechanics.
And how much do they earn when they?
How much do they earn? Well, the sky is the limit. I tell them all the time. They can potentially start making really close to $80,000 starting off, depending on the experience that they had before or during their schooling. But that answer is a wide variety of commas, and they can start at 70, they can start at 80, but the potential for growth in these companies is tremendous. So if a student graduates from our campus licensed and they go to a company who starts them off at, let's say, 70,000, within a few years they have potential for growth. Growth in that company as far as the amount of money that they bring in.
Okay, I'd like to interject something. See, due to COVID that happened and a mass retirement of aviation types, meaning pilots and mechanics, we had a really large void in aviation, not only in the U.S., but globally. And I was reading an article the other day that said it's going to take at least 30 years to backfill all these positions to where we had it, before COVID. 'Cause a lot of people died during COVID, and a lot of people left work, and a lot of people retired. And what I like to also kind of admit to is that when I started 3 years ago, we had 6 students at the school, and now we're approaching 400.
We are.
Right.
And so people are coming by leaps and bounds.
Oh, yes, sir.
The word is out.
Yes, sir.
The word is out.
You're only helping as well, by the way. For sure.
Well, I understand that we have another instructor here also, and let's see if we can try to pull him in
For sure.
and get some insight from him and see if he can tell us how he got. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Bobby James, and I started off as an instructor here at AIM, but now I'm the evening program coordinator. So I get to kind of oversee how things go on the evening shift, make sure we got everything we need to run the program smoothly. But I'm born and raised here in Chicago. Graduated from Thorn Ridge High School.
All right, out there in the South Suburban.
I'm a Falcon. So right out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I ended up finding a MARTA bus pass, which is the public transportation in Atlanta, with this Atlanta Technical Institute on the back. So I'm gonna give this a try. And every program that was there, I knew somebody had done it, that did those jobs. But I didn't know anyone that did aircraft maintenance. So I said, well, that's what I want to do. And so I got into it, and it's a tough program, okay? But the more I got into it, the more I loved it. And once I got my license, I figured out and got into the career, I figured out that, hey, this is my passion. And so now I get to give that passion that I have for it to other people, so.
And you saw a card.
Well, it was my grandmother. She had passed away about 2 years ago, 2 years prior, and we were going through some of her mail. Yeah. And this is one of her bus passes. So I like to say that Grandma reached out and showed me the way when I didn't know the way. So she through going through her paperwork, I found my way, you know. So.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
That is seriously interesting.
Lord works in mysterious
Yeah,
ways.
he does.
Do they still have those graduations out on the football field and stuff out there?
Well,
I spoke at one. That was
is that at Thornridge?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I graduated, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
well,
Yeah.
that
That was way back in
the
'96.
time when I spoke out there. That's where it was.
Yeah.
It was out there on the
Well,
field.
Well, like my kids like to say, back in the 1900s. So
Yeah.
that was in the 1900s.
And so it's a good opportunity for individuals. I mean, $70,000 a year to start.
And that's on the low end. I spent most of my career well off into the six figures. So the potential's there. They're gonna start you, 75, 80,000. But as you progress, as the other Mr. James said, you'll reach into, it's usually a 5 to 8 year contract that they have, and at the top of that contract, you'll definitely be in six figures with nice 401k. Flight benefits is always a plus, working for the airline. So, and I always took advantage of those. So, yeah, like I tell my students, once I finish school, I like to say I'm the MBA aviation guy. I was never broke again.
Oh, okay.
I may not have been rich, but I was never broke again.
Oh, that sounds pretty
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, if you're out there and you are a young person, and I guess you don't have to be all that young, but if you are a person looking for a career and you've got skill in that direction or the potential to learn, and people who are unemployed, this sounds like a good way to go. Let me tell you, 400 students in 2 or 3 years, it means that a lot of people have seen and have caught on
That's it.
and have found the way. And so if you're wondering, and I guess all of us drift into something one way or the other, but saying 70, actually, you won't believe it, but I worked for 30 cents an hour with a college degree in my back pocket. And so people who think there has been no change or that opportunities don't come, it just meant that I lived in an agricultural area. And the only work in the area was essentially agricultural work. Now, that's been a while ago, but the only work that was there was work in the fields. And so when I got out of college, I went home to help my father put his fields in operation. And then once I helped him, I went and got a little job to try to get enough money to get away. And ultimately, I had to borrow $50 from him that he borrowed from somebody else to get to Chicago. So when I got here, I had $18 left, no job, but I had 2 sisters who lived here, and I lived with them till I got myself a job. First job I got, I was making $10 for the day.
Yeah, see,
And
hard
that's
time.
kind of what we did. Anything in particular you'd want people to really know about the school about the approach to learning and what it is that people need to do if they're really interested or if they think this is.
Okay, well, one thing I'd like to interject is, number one, I'm from the hood, all right? Marshall High School, 1972. Hey, I'm been there, done that. And basically what we're saying is, hey, put the guns down, you know, and get you a career where you don't have to be looking over your shoulder all the time. And that's kind of where we headed, because we need to quit killing each other and all of that. You know, I mean, that's always going to be my thing, because that's kind of what was drilled into me by the original guys, the original Tuskegee Airmen. So, hey, put the guns down and try to make some money and start you a career where you can raise your family.
That's right.
Well, that works. I used to drop my next door neighbor's daughter off at Marshall when I was in the city council. And I used to live down the street on Monroe, just right down the street from Marshall. I sure did.
West Side.
West Side. Well, you know, Marshall was famous. A woman named Dorothy Gator was the girls' basketball coach there, and she is the winningest female basketball coach in the nation. And she worked at Marshall, I guess, maybe for at least 40 years. She was offered jobs coaching WNBA, women in basketball. She just put on a tournament. She always does the Martin Luther King tournament every year. And she just did it this past month. We got about 3 minutes.
Well, I just wanted to say, you were speaking on the girls basketball coach. I do want to shout out our female students. Okay, if you're a young woman, young lady, come on out. You guys make great mechanics. They're some of our strongest students there at the school.
Absolutely.
My niece has since joined. So don't be afraid, okay? Come on out. You make great mechanics. We love to have you. You add value to our campus, and we're pro ladies at our school.
Yeah, and we have women instructors out there too.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so everything, whatever, you're not like some of these people in our country who seem to be trying to keep people from having opportunity.
That's right.
So you obviously believe in diversity.
Yes, and age too.
Equity.
I think our youngest student is 18, but our oldest is 54.
Oh.
So it's not too late, you know, if it's something you want to do.
Long as you are learning, you are living, and I certainly would agree that education is one way to stay young, to remain young, and to keep learning. But just the fact that you can learn yourself a skill, you can have a way of earning a livelihood
That's right.
for yourself. And it's not where you start, it's where you end up.
That's right.
and the direction. So I thank you, gentlemen, for joining with us
Please
and
do.
sharing this information. I'll be back out to visit again because I like visiting and seeing education take place. And it's wonderful, Vic, and we thank you for your leadership, for your friendship, and your guidance. Did you know Roy Chappelle?
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Roy was the head of the group at one time, and his wife and I worked together because we were both psychologists.
Right, they got that
Yeah,
apartment building.
Lucy.
Yeah, Luce.
Lucy was a psychologist and ran the Bobby Wright Mental Health Center
On KG over there.
for years.
My mother worked there for many years, Bobby Wright.
Really?
Yeah, she started
Well,
out
Bobby-
nursing there.
Bobby Wright and I were classmates in graduate school.
Wow.
We went through the whole program.
Small
Yep.
world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bobby was my dear friend. He had a Volkswagen. We used to ride in his car because it didn't use much gas to go. All right.
Now, Roy Chappelle told me, and he encouraged me to go to school. And what he told me was quit being last.
And be first.
Be
He
first.
told me.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Thank all of you for viewing and listening. And we'll see you next week. Until then, be good to yourself and better to somebody else. Have a good night. We'll see you then.